Um, so
So,
that's our last piece there. Giving
yeah,
ourselves a little bit of room here. Words we can cut out for when we make this separate video.
yes.
Uh,
Uh,
Speaking of horrible disappointments, so two major
Major.
streaming series ended in the last week, and boy,
Ugh. Yeah, so She-Hulk, which now full disclosure, I have not watched She-Hulk and I haven't watched Rings of Power, the other show we're going to be talking about. I'm assuming you haven't either.
I watched half of an episode of She-Hulk, thought it was all right, but I got distracted, and then I heard about how the show actually turned out. Nothing like the opening episode would have implied, and I said, "Oh, okay."
All right. Well, don't need to waste any more time on it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's everything I've been hearing about this show, like, and the clips I've seen from it, I'm just like, why would I want to watch a show that's insulting me every single week?
And for that matter, it just doesn't sound very good. Like
No. Yeah.
it's another streaming show where they handed it off to somebody who, to the best of my knowledge, had not run a show before.
Yes. Jessica Gao.
Who just seems like such a winning personality in all the interviews where she talks about how much she hates the trolls.
Yes, and she loves trolling the trolls.
Yes.
Like, okay.
And it's just like this weird thing where they keep insisting on this. That why do you make a section of the fan base the villain? Like,
Yeah.
arguably, they even like made a character based on Victor von Doomcock, of all people.
What? Why would you do that?
Like it looks like him. It talks like how they think he talks.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
just don't get it.
yeah. No, no, they don't, and they think, they think they're being clever. I think, yeah, and with the way they're presenting and everything, and they're not they aren't half as clever as they think they are.
But my biggest irritation with She-Hulk has to be that okay, real talk here. Planet Hulk is one of the better Marvel comics to come out in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that my favorite character from there was actually Miek or Meek, however you pronounce it. Probably Meek because it's a pun. The
Mm-hmm.
little cockroach guy turns into a big buff cockroach guy, and like he levels up over the course of it. Um, but we basically knew we were never getting a proper Planet Hulk movie because they mashed that with Thor Ragnarok and Thor Ragnarok. Like they aren't going to make.
Yeah.
The only way you could make a Planet Hulk movie would be if you like made it a prequel to Thor Ragnarok, where it was about him and Valkyrie on that on the Collector's Planet or whoever that guy was, Game Master, was it?
Yeah. Game Master. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Collector
yeah.
was. Yeah, Collector was.
Oh, Guardians, right?
Yeah, Guardians. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like on the Game Master's planet, but it would have to end with Thor showing up
Mm-hmm.
because, and you couldn't do the cool Titus or what was that? You couldn't do the cool Gladiator movie riff that they did there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, okay, fine. I made peace with that. They weren't going to make a proper Planet Hulk movie because they don't want to give, I guess they don't want to write Mark Ruffalo checks, and I think more specifically, they don't want to write Universal checks because they still own a piece of Hulk Cinematic if it's actually starring the Hulk.
Yes. Yeah.
Fine. You wasted a likable actor on ensemble pieces. Whatever. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Introducing Scar, the son of Hulk, in the way they did, where he's just randomly there at the end barbecue, and I saw that clips of that scene. Like, no, there's like no build up to it. It's just like, oh yeah, this is I'll have someone to introduce you to, Jen. This is my son, Scar. Like he looks awful because the CGI in the show isn't great in general.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, hey, character I recognize who had a cool role in the second in World War Hulk. Guess we're not getting World War Hulk either.
Yeah.
We're not getting anything cool. Great.
Yeah. This is why we can't have nice things.
Oh, and I forgot to mention the other reason we aren't getting Planet Hulk is that they took the supporting characters from Planet Hulk and shoved them into Thor. Uh, the Rock guy, who Tycho played himself, was a major player in Planet Hulk, and they even had a version of Meek, though I think they killed him off. Like they stepped on or something, or
Oh yeah.
which I didn't think I would care that much about a little slightly lightly characterized Bugman, but I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of missed opportunities, and and I would say I would put She-Hulk in that category as well, because I mean, She-Hulk was actually one of the things they do in the show is they make it sound like, oh, all these toxic men think that she doesn't deserve her power, which, like, okay, no Marvel, no true, like, no hardcore Marvel fan thinks that of She-Hulk. Like, most Marvel fans love She-Hulk.
Yes, and for that matter, the Disney character who we say that about is named Rey Skywalker, or Rey Palpatine if you prefer.
Yeah, Ray Palpatine. Yeah, it's yeah.
But and I actually just read a bunch of She-Hulk comics earlier this year, not in preparation for this show, just because I'd bought them on Nook ages ago,
Mm-hmm.
and when I got my iPad, I suddenly had access to my old Nook app, which I didn't on my Kindle, because for obvious reasons.
Yes.
And I finished it up. I'd gotten about like a third. It was like a big omnibus collection of the second go around of John Byrne's She-Hulk series.
Mm.
That is such a the premise was right there.
Yeah.
She is a lawyer who goes on ridiculous superhero adventures, and she has Wheezy, who is a retired superhero from the Golden Age, who decides to start hanging out with her because she notices that characters who are on panel don't age.
Yeah.
And it's just you. It was there.
Yeah.
It was feminist.
Yeah.
She sleeps around, and it's cool.
Yeah.
She had a Native American love interest whose name I am forgetting right now, but he was cool.
Yeah.
There was a story where her dad was dealing with the fact that he didn't like her being She-Hulk. You had that generational trauma bullshit that our generation loves to write into everything for no reason, because besides the fact that they don't have life experiences outside of being angry at Mumsy and Dadsy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing when you fill a writer's room and you have a showrunner who don't know anything about the character, and they're just pushing, and they want to score points with a certain crowd of people, and while simultaneously alienating the core audience. And what you get is this show, and more than likely not a season 2.
Yes, the actress was asked if there was a season 2 coming, and she did not know.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't think I was going to get that angry about it, but mind you, again, this is everything we know about it is secondhand, aside from watching the first half of that first episode and thinking, okay, some of the complaints about this were overblown because, like, oh, she throws the rock further than the Hulk, like in the trailer, but then the Hulk throws the rock into orbit.
Yeah.
But still, like, she's better than him.
Yeah.
It's just not quite the way that we thought.
Yeah.
And it's just like you took one of, although I have wondered since then, would it be possible to have Jen as a character with a voice actor or an actual actor and not have her come off as slightly self-impressed and condescending? because like a lot of the time she is like roasting everybody around her, especially when
Yeah.
she's in fourth wall break mode.
You can do that, but you would have to have an actress who's likable.
Right, which everything I've heard is that this actress can be likable, but she was probably just written and directed not well.
Yeah, yeah, and then you throw in a finale where the you have the robot of Kevin Feige.
So you're admitting all of your stuff is so formulaic
Yeah,
that a robot could make it.
the robots. Uh, well, yeah. If this doesn't signal the end of the MCU, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other side, I can't build up a lot of anger for Rings of Power.
I can't either. I did not give a rat's patootie about this show. When they announced it, I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't,
I'm not interested in your Tolkien fan fiction.
no. And like She-Hulk, I saw clips from this show, and I didn't like what I saw, and I'm like, and like She-Hulk, it has a main character who is extremely unlikable, from what I've heard.
Yeah, even positive, even sites that you'd expect to be positive, like CNET and Forbes, have been rather uncharitable towards the show.
Yeah, yeah, it's you know a lot of there was a lot of hype and a lot of talk around this show, and that's largely because it is the most expensive TV series ever produced.
You're in the record books.
Yeah, you got there somehow. You got there one way or another.
Boy, you might have been better off taking that $1 billion and just making 5 TV shows on the level of The Boys or Invincible.
Yeah. But no.
No, you wanted your Game of Thrones and you decided that Lord of the Rings was good enough. And so you got sold a pig in a poke and bought the rights to the appendices of the books. Not even the Silmarillion. They didn't even have the Silmarillion
Yeah.
proper. They had like a summary of events that they could build off of. It's just
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
never going to be good. I don't think that even Peter Jackson could have made it good.
No. And this is another show too with inexperienced showrunners, run by a couple of guys who used to work for J.J. Abrams. They wrote a screen. Their claim to fame before this was they wrote a screenplay for a Star Trek movie that will never get made.
Yeah, I think I even read things where they're saying like, "Oh, we've been in the business for 10 years and nothing we've written has ever gotten made." Okay, a few times I get it. Production hell happens. Contracts change. Lots of scripts get bought and never made just so that no other studio can make it.
Mm-hmm.
That happens, and good on you for. I mean, hopefully you collected a paycheck for it. But 10 years, 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
I mean, first off, that would just be horribly depressing. Can you imagine
Yeah.
That's I mean, self-publishing can be lonely enough. At a certain point, you'd think they'd go, maybe I should take some of this spec script money I keep making and just write some novels or something.
Yeah. Well, and I think I've said this before. I mean, those two guys being the showrunners on this, it would be like you and me, right? Being showrunners on a $1 billion TV show.
Yeah, maybe they would probably be okay. I'm going to be very humble here.
Mm-hmm.
They probably did a bit better of a job because I've never been involved with anything like I was in a scene in one independent movie once when I was in high school, and I do not know if that movie ever actually came out. I was in the background being offered drugs by a bully or by a pusher, and our dialogue was not audible.
Yeah.
So like that is the extent of my knowledge. they have more knowledge of the inner workings of how a TV show works than we do.
That's true. True,
But it's not much better.
but not much, but not much. Yeah, yeah, and it's from what it sounds like, they got the job because Uncle JJ made a phone call.
Yep. And man, I really hope that Hollywood just rides him out on a rail pretty quick.
It's from what I've been hearing from like I mean I was watching Midnight's Edge talking about it, and they of course they had it was the Monday show, so they had Chris Gore on, and according to him, it sounds like they are going to be demoted. From at least from what he's been hearing, they're probably going to be demoted to just like writers, and they're not going to be showrunners anymore, and they're going to bring in people who are actually competent showrunners.
Yeah, and I think I watched the same stream. It was like they were going to get demoted in power, but actually keep their titles so that things were, yeah, because they probably had ironclad contracts.
Mm.
Yeah. Also, their pitch was to show a bit of Peter Jackson's opening to the first Lord of the Rings movie and go, our show is that first 5 minutes.
Ooh, all right.
Hey, let me tell you about my new TV show. Let's see here. My TV show is going to be. I'm sorry, I closed this at a bad time. My TV show is going to be. Come on. Oh, V, blast you. At least it wasn't anything embarrassing. Anyway, my TV show is this poster, which I did not make in any way, but I could totally extrapolate from this poster to make a kick-ass show. Trust me, I've made many shows. I have not, even though I've never made a show before. And sure, my novels have never been professionally published.
Yeah.
But you can totes my goats. Trust me, man.
Yes.
Like it's just ridiculous. Again, like I don't think even a good Lord of the Rings show would have necessarily gotten my attention. I watched the movies in theaters, but that's basically it. Read The Hobbit once. Tried to read Lord of the Rings every time, and I always lose steam a little bit after Tom Bombadil.
Mm.
Yeah, She-Hulk pissed me off more because there is just this could have been the best MCU thing post Endgame.
Yeah, but no.
And what it comes down to is that people like the founders of Pixar and George Lucas and all these other things, they're like nerds and man children. That to steal Cheto's call me Cheto's thesis a bit, and so they take these stupid things seriously, and that's what makes them great.
Yeah.
All these people, and this has been a theory I've had for a while, is that they would much rather be making anything but a superhero or a fantasy show. But because of current market conditions where IP is everything, that's kind of what they're stuck with.
Yeah, and they don't know a thing about them, and so they're making the show that they want to make.
Which, man, I wish I had $1 billion to just write whatever the hell I wanted.
Yeah, me too.
How do you get that deal?
Yeah, well, call Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I guess. The only cool thing there is that there's actually a trailer for Lord of the Rings playing on this She-Hulk article right now. Bottom corner here is that the wargs kind of look like hell pigs. Which, if you don't know what a hell pig is, look it up. Ancient extinct beastie. Look pretty neat. Basically like a land hippo.
Oh, okay.
All right. Positive things to say about that is the only positive thing I have to say about either of these two shows. All right.